Hello, once again welcome to the channel. Thanks for everybody who's tuning in so far. So this evening's little job, I'm going to take this seat out. Small issue I have is that the screw heads, or some of them, are rounded off. I don't know how I'm going to get them off yet. I don't know, we'll find out together. And I've got some tools. I've taken the little factory grommets that protect the thread of the screws underneath. They just pull off, and then the idea is I can't take this out, which is the buoyancy block I don't like, until I take the seat out, even if I replace it with something temporary this evening, because I'm actually going to use the boat tomorrow. Then I'm going to replace the elastic here that would hold a throw bag and the end loops, which at the moment are a bit long. I just want to just replace them. If I replace them and I've done it, it's a job done. And then I will be attaching painters. So I don't know if I'm going to get all that done this evening or not, but I'll certainly give it a good go. All right. So thanks again for joining me, and let's start, and we'll discover if this all works together. So with this, it's all about having the correct tool. So an M6 bolt, which is what this is, should have a 10mm spanner or socket attached. Whether or not that's correct, so if I get my 10mm and just slide in underneath. Okay, so that seems that it's going to be a little small. So 12, 8. Okay, so I've tried a 9, I've tried a 10, and neither of them really fit correctly. And I think this is where people get a little bit frustrated, because we work on metric in the UK. This boat was made in the US. I'm going to go and fetch some imperial bits and pieces. It stands to reason that this is going to be an imperial measurement. So I'll be back in a second. 3/8. So there you go. Pays to just, not be forceful. If I didn't have access to imperial tools, I'd be leaving this job at the moment, go and get what I need, and then return. I can undo it with a 10mm. It's not that tight, so I might just whiz them off with a 10, and then when I come to tighten them back up again, instead of stripping the nut head, is go for a 3/8. Right. So the key when undoing any kind of bolt is just to be steady, really. And because they're not that tight anyway, I'm able to, and like I said, I can sort of do them up with this, and then as you can see, I'm just holding the top with my thumb rather than trying to hold it with a screwdriver. It gets to a point, they are nylocks, Let's be honest, once I undo this and put it back in, I might just take these screws, the ones that are badly damaged, and go and put a file or a saw through them, and then I'll be able to, in effect, put a new cross in the top, or just a slot. So this one's not, the one that's damaged, sod's law, is that it's not. Now what's happened here is somebody's tried to undo this by turning the screw head, rather than what I'm doing is removing the bolt, the nut even, sorry. And that system of trying to force the screw head just doesn't work, because you've only got to slip once, and then the damage occurs. And once it's occurred, unless you know what you're doing, and I guess you've got the tools, because you can learn if you don't know. But if you haven't got the tools to do the job, then that's not really good, is it? Just whilst I'm doing this, I'll probably just reach over and do it from this side. By putting my thumb on the top as well, I can feel what kind of resistance feel like on the one that was damaged, straight away I could feel it wasn't going to allow me just to simply put pressure down on top of the screw head to undo what I'm doing. Undo the rest of it really with my fingers. The fact that I'm able to turn them with my fingers tells me that they've been took off before. So from day of manufacture, because nylock is pretty strong, to be fair. So yeah. Now, if I just start doing everything just to tap. It is a rubber, so there's no. So just by tapping it, it's already started to spring the bolt up. Okay. I'm going to go and fetch a dead blow hammer and a lump of wood just to tap those bolts up. So I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so here's my little dead blow, rubber on one end, brass on the other. So I've decided I'm going to reconnect one of the nuts, and I'll use the same nut to do each of the bolts. Just connect it, just put enough thread on it that I can tap the bottom of the nut without then damaging the thread with a hammer. So just get it until it's nipped up. brought the screw head up, which if I grab it with my mod grips rather than trying to use the screwdriver, I can then hopefully encourage it to come out. So bear in mind it's got to go through wood, which is going to cause a bit of a bind, but with a bit of patience. I can just keep working at it. And just, yeah, don't force it, don't try and wriggle it, just let it come out under its own steam. You don't want to be damaging any thread. They are only thin, these things, and although they're incredibly strong, but they are only tiny. Just feel it starting to release now, and this one has been forced at some stage, and I'll just show you. So excuse me. So there's the head of the bolt. Not very good at all, but the actual bolt itself, if it's been forced at any stage, it then creates this bit of a bend here, so it's pointless trying to force it through. Bit of gentle persuasion, just keep turning if necessary, turn it, wind it back in a bit, turn it back in a bit, and yeah, patience and taking your time wins the day all day. Right, so I'm going to do the other 4, get the seat off, and then I'll rejoin you. Right, so seats off, and we'll look at that in a second. Yeah, so the last bolt, this is the state of it, and so I'm going to be looking to straighten it just in a small while. I don't know how yet. It is stainless, and yeah, they don't like being messed with too much, but yeah, I'll figure something out in a second. Okay, so after much deliberation, a bit of thought, I want to change the strings, the lacing. It hasn't arrived, which means if I want to secure the boat, as in the integrity of the boat, I'd have to put the seat back in. It's the rear seat, I'm paddling out on my own, so I'm going to use the kneeling thwart. Or I sit in the front and paddle it backwards. So technically I don't really need the rear seat. So I've just got this sort of, I don't know, 38 by 38 mil batten. It'll do. It'll you know, give the boat some strength where it needs it, and I shall use it tomorrow when the lacing arrives, cut it all off, clean it, relace it, oil the seat. I'll have done all the oiling of the seat by then, and then reattach the seat. So I'll secure all the bits and pieces, make sure they don't get lost, and I'll probably order some new bolts, to be fair, because they are a bit manky. All right, so just onto this. So I'm using just normal screws and some caps that I've got lying around. That goes in there, ensuring it's central. So onto there. Now my boat, this rear section, is secure, and I can use it tomorrow without any real thoughts about whether or not you know, it might squash or whatever. Right. Once again, thanks for joining me on the channel. I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you. Bye bye for now. Bye bye.